Hi yogis, I'm Chelsea Lundeen with Ascend Your Asana, and today's flow is all about strengthening our shoulders. So we do so much with our shoulders in yoga, from anything with like plank pose to arm balances and inversion, that it's really important that we build a strong foundation and make sure that they're really strong and capable of supporting us in all of our needs in our yoga practice. So join me on the mat today. If you want, you can grab a couple blocks. We'll be using those just a couple times in the practice. Otherwise, I will see you on the mat. Alright, we are going to start out in tabletop posture today. So we'll bring our wrists just under our shoulders and our knees just under our hips. And we're going to warm up the spine with some gentle cat-cows. So I want you to inhale as you kind of pump that booty up and bring the ribs towards the mat. And then exhale as you push the mat away from you, rounding the spine and tucking your chin in towards your chest. So inhale, dropping your chest down, bringing your gaze forward. Exhale, puffing through the back of the back, tucking that chin in. Few more here. This time I want you to add in some spinal rolls. So start in one direction first. And see if you can sync them to your breath and spinal movements. Just awakening the body here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Let's switch sides. Exhaling as you puff out the back. Good. We are going to tuck our toes under now. And we are going to bring our knees to just hovering over the mat. So push the mat away from you. And I want you to see if you can isolate the cat-cow movements with just your thoracic spine, so just your upper back. So inhale, dropping it low. Exhale, puffing through the back. Really try to isolate the upper back here. Inhale. Keeping those knees hovering, you may notice you start to shake. At least I am. Great warm up. One more. And drop your knees down. And we're going to come into an extended puppy pose here. So walk your hands out. And see if you can sink your head in towards the mat. If you want, you can even bring your hands in prayer and tuck them, bend your elbows so they're coming up towards your upper back. Really releasing your chest towards the mat. If you find this isn't a deep enough stretch for you, you can grab your blocks, set your elbows on them, and allow them to help you find a little more openness in your shoulders so you can really drop your head down. We're not straining our neck here. We are simply relaxing into the posture. Good, few deep breaths here. And release. You can move your blocks out of the way. And we're going to come up into high plank pose. And we are just going to start by swaying the body. So this will really warm up our wrists, warm up our abs and our core, as if we haven't already started that. And so let's just rock back and forth. Think about pressing through the index mound in between your pointer finger and your thumb to really try to keep that weight out of your wrists so that we can kind of protect them so they don't get really sore. So let's just rock back and forth, maybe side to side now. Really strong core here. Now let's add in a few finger tenting. So as you sway to the right, tent your left fingers up and then back down, and again with the right side. Now let's just keep going here. Let's tenting those fingers. I like to exhale as I tent. Inhale as I switch. Think about keeping that core active, not twisting the hips too much. And then on your next sway to the right, I want you to pause as you tent your left fingers. And then just come up on the outside of your right foot and come up into side plank here. Good. Hold and release. Sway to the left, tent your right fingers. Pause, bring them up into side plank, not allowing our hips to dip, but really keeping them nice and raised, core engaged and strong, and release. Let's do this a little faster now. Tent, come up onto our right hand, release back down, tent the right fingers, up into side plank, release back down, tent the left fingers, come up, release back down, tent the right, come up, and release back down. Hold in high plank for a second, for 3, 2, 1, and send it back into downward facing dog. Feel free to pedal out your feet at this time, pedal out your legs, get those hamstrings nice and loose. Again, pressing through that index mound of your fingers here. A few deep breaths. We're going to do a couple more spinal rolls here. So I want you to inhale and lead with the middle of your spine as you puff up through the back of the back and come up into high plank. And then we're going to bend the knees, bend the elbows, and push the mat away from you as we send our sit bones back into downward facing dog again. This time, inhale, come up onto the toes, roll the spine out into high plank, bend those elbows, bend those knees, push the mat away, sinking lower towards the mat, sending those hip bones up and back into downward facing dog. Let's do a couple more of these. So inhale, high onto the toes. Exhale, bend, 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 sink towards the mat as you push your ground away and back up into downward dog. Let's do 2 more at your own pace here. Good. Pause in your last downward facing dog. Let's bend those knees and we're going to jump up into forward fold. So inhale, exhale, jump into forward fold. Feel free to step up if you are unable to jump up into it. Inhale, halfway lift to flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, we're going to rise up into chair pose, sitting the sit bones back nice and strong. Inhale, come up onto your toes as you sweep your hands up and back, spine long here. Inhale, drop the heels, come up into chair. Exhale, sweep the hands up and back, come up onto your toes. Up, back into chair. This time release. Come into a forward fold, straighten out the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. step or jump your hands back into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, let's drop to our forearms, pulling our heads through our biceps. Inhale, or exhale, back up into downward facing dog. Inhale, drop our forearms. Inhale, back up. Inhale, drop our forearms. Exhale, back up into downward facing dog. Bend those knees again as we jump forward into forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, up into chair pose. Exhale, come up onto our toes, sweeping our hands back. I like to call this one humble chair. Inhale, arms up, chair pose, sitting nice and low and strong. Exhale, up onto the toes, sweeping the arms back. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, up onto the toes, sweeping the arms back. Let's hold it here. See if you can sink just a little lower. Ooh, thighs are burning. Hold, hold, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release into forward fold, straightening out those knees. Whew. Rest here a moment if you need to. Pedal out those legs. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Plant those hands on the mat as you jump back into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, drop to your forearms. This time, see if you can walk your feet just a little bit in for dolphin, pulling your head through your biceps. Exhale, I want you to do a dolphin push-up, so pulling that chin in towards your fingers in between your hands. And back up. Rise up into downward facing dog. Inhale, drop the forearms to the mat. Exhale, pull that chin in for another push-up. And back. Rise up into downward facing dog. Let's do one more of these. Inhale, drop your forearms to the mat. Exhale as you do a dolphin push-up, pulling your chin in through your hands. Exhale, back, up, into downward facing dog. Feel free to rest here if you need to. Let's drop our knees towards the mat. Come up onto our forearms now. And we are going to come into a forearm plank. So core nice, engaged and strong. Feet hip distance apart, arms shoulder distance apart. Let's see if we can roll onto the outer edge of our right foot and come up into a forearm side plank here. So hips nice and lifted, core engaged. When you're ready, see if you can lift that left foot up. Maybe a few wobbles. Take that left foot and drop it right in front of kind of your hip area. You may rest your right hip on the mat. Kind of raise yourself up, bringing your right hand about maybe 6 inches or so out behind you. And we are actually going to come into a baby grasshopper pose. So, surprise! So, baby grasshopper is when you grasp the outer edge of your foot and then you kind of raise up. So in doing this, I want you to think about You're trying to basically get off the mat, but you can't move this foot. So you're trying to stand up without being able to move this foot. So what do? You push through this hand and you lift your hips, right? So I want you to think about that movement, only we'll also be holding on to our foot. And if you can't quite reach your foot, you can also kind of grasp your ankle area. That might work as well. So let's give this a go. Grasp the outer edge of your right foot with your left hand. Firmly place your right hand in line with your left foot. So toes pointing the same direction as your fingers. I want you to deep inhale here, lengthening the spine. And on your exhale, I want you to push up and then bend the elbow, gazing at your foot. Keeping foot flexed and then back down. How did that go? Let's try it one more time. This one's a little tricky. I always have to really think about it when I'm doing it, so don't feel bad if you can't get this right away. So inhale, spine long. Exhale, push up, booty up, leg up, elbow bent, gazing over your right feet or your right toesies, and release. Drop that foot down. Bring your hands up like you're coming into plank. Push that hip up off the mat. Bring your right foot to plank position. Bring your left foot under the body, straightening out the leg so it is almost like it's forming a 90-degree angle with your body. And we're going to do a chaturanga here. So inhale up onto your right toes. Exhale, round out those elbows and tuck them in close to your torso. Chaturanga. Back up. Ground through your left hand as you dip your hips, planting your right hand or your right foot on the mat and raising your right arm up and over. Deep breath here. And release that hand to the mat and back into downward facing dog. You guys ready to do it on the other side? I'll switch positions so you have a better view. So we're in plank. Let's drop down onto our forearms. Pivot so you are on your left, the outside of your left foot. Bring your right arm up into forearm side plank. Hold here. And if you can, outstretch that right foot. And drop that foot on the outside of your hip. Drop your hip down to the mat. Press up. And bring your left arm in about 6 inches away from the body. Fingers pointed in the same direction as your toes. Feel free to see if you can grasp that right foot. If you want to practice again, inhaling as you lift your booty up and back down. So let's try it. Grasp that foot with your right hand. Inhale, spine long. Exhale, push up, lift and bend your elbow. Gaze over your left toes, foot flexed. And exhale, release back down. We'll do one more here. Inhale, spine long. Exhale, lift up. Foot flexed, gaze over those toes, elbow strong, core engaged. And release back down. Bring your hands like you're coming into plank. Bring your left foot into plank position. Bring your right foot out and under the body, forming a 90-degree angle with your left leg. Inhale onto your toes. Tuck those elbows in close to the torso as you chaturanga down. Inhale back up. Bring your weight into your right hand as you lift your left hand up and over, planting that left foot on the mat and rising deep breaths here. Good. And release. Back down. Bring that foot under, come into high plank, and step back into downward facing dog. Rest here a moment. When you're ready, I would like you to, we're going to jump through, so bend those knees and see if you can jump your legs through. So like this, and come into a nice seated posture. I'm actually going to switch sides with you because I like teaching on this side better. Okay, so we're going to plant our hands just to the outside of our hips, and we're going to inhale up into reverse tabletop posture. So inhale here, exhale, push up into reverse tabletop posture. Inhale here, exhale, let's swoop under and see if you can come into an L-sit. So keep those hips elevated, see if you can pull them through your arms, feet flexed, pushing the mat away. Inhale back up into reverse tabletop. Exhale, those hips through into an L-sit. Keep them engaged, pushing the mat away. Inhale, reverse tabletop. Exhale, pulling those hips through. Really push your shoulders up and out. And let's drop. That one burns. We're going to come up into a half boat. So see if you can balance on your booty. Bring those feet up. Feet flex so your toes are coming towards your shins. Inhale your arms up over the body, keeping that spine nice and long and lengthened. Deep inhale here. Exhale. See if you can hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release your hands behind your back, keeping your feet up, and see if you can pull your hands away, as far away as you can. And we are going to isometrically drag them towards our backs. So when I say isometric, meaning you're pulling but you're not actually moving. So you feel like you want to pull your hands towards your body, towards your butt, but you're not actually moving them. Feel the activation in the lower back and the shoulders and the chest. Good. And release your arms back. Drop your feet to the mat. Come up towards the middle so you're able to have enough room to kind of lie back. And let's slowly lower down. Release your feet towards the back of the mat. And we are going to do some angel arms. So cactus your arms out like this. I want you to inhale and kind of suck your ribs in, so what we call knitting your ribs. So this will feel like your lower back is planting onto the mat. So your core is active and engaged. And I want you to take your cactus arms and sweep them up overhead. Keeping that, the whole point here is to keep your back on the mat. And see if you can keep your arms on the mat as best as you can too. And then cactus them out, touching your elbows towards your ribs. Keeping that back on the mat. Let's bring them up and over, straightening them out. And then roll them back in. Again, bring them up and wide. Core super engaged here, keeping that back on the mat. And then let's cactus them in. Good. And we're going to flip over onto our stomachs. And we're gonna just do a nice chest stretch. So bring your right hand out, forming a 90-degree angle with your body. Tense your left hands like we were doing earlier. Lift that left leg, bend that knee, and cross that foot over to the right side, pushing, using your left hand to push the mat away, feeling that stretch in your right pectoral muscles and that shoulder. Getting a nice stretch here. Hold. Good, and release. Do the same thing, left arm stretched out wide, tenting your right hands, bringing that right foot up, bending that knee, crossing it over to tap the floor with your right foot, pushing the mat away from you with your right hand, and really feeling that stretch through your chest muscles here. Pulling your right knee up and over. Good, and release. At this point, you can grab your blocks. And we will wind down a little bit more right before Shavasana. Feel free to put your block kind of just under your shoulder blades, kind of your shoulder blade area, middle of the back. Butterfly your legs together, or you may keep them long as well. Whatever's most comfortable for you. And we're just going to relax here a moment. Really open up the chest before Shavasana. Allow your breath to return to normal. Feel your abdomen swelling with air in each inhale. And imagine that air exhaling fully out of the body on every exhale. Notice what parts of your back may feel the block. What kind of sensations it gives you. Does anything in your body feel tense right now? Take a moment to kind of scan your body for that tension and just allow it to release. Allow it to leave the body on your exhale as you sink deeper into your block and your mat. At this time, you may remove your block if you would like, or you can keep it under you as well for Shavasana, whatever is most comfortable for you. Outstretch your legs if you haven't done so already, and just center into Shavasana. You can kind of use your head to push the mat away and tuck your shoulder blades under your back just a little more. Allow your hands to drape freely, your feet to flatten towards the mat. Allow everything just to relax, releasing control. If you find your mind wandering, just gently guide it back to your breath.